2026 just got even crazier, part 22. Out of nowhere, OpenAI just said they are shutting down the Sora app. Yeah, that same app that is responsible for all those AI slop videos. Apparently it's due to high costs and declining user growth. So yeah, AI videos could really start to become a thing of the past now. Next, Apple CEO Tim Cook just came out and said that he doesn't want people looking at smartphones more than they look at someone's eyes, because if they're scrolling endlessly, this is not the way you should spend your day. Go out and spend time in nature. So he pretty much told everybody to go out, touch grass, and stop doom scrolling. I feel like this is the 1 week where we're saying no to technology and yes to the real world. Finally, Minecraft just announced they're opening up their own amusement park that is expected to be open in 2027. And they've already released photos of this amusement park, and here they are right here. It honestly looks super cool, and they even have a Minecraft roller coaster where you can sit on a minecart and go all the way to the nether. In total, the park is expected to cost around $67 million. This will literally fill.
Is it just me, or are we seeing more and more female teachers assaulting students? I swear there's like a new story every other week. I just learned about this 30-year-old teacher that essayed two 15-year-old boys and got pregnant with one of them. This is her. Rebecca Jones was 28 years old when she started working as a math teacher at Manchester High School and began flirting with her 15-year-old student. Apparently, it started off with her playing this weird game with him where she gave him her phone number except for the last digit and told him to figure it out. And of course, he figured it out and they began texting, Snapchatting. Eventually, she took him to the Gucci store to buy him a belt. After buying him this expensive belt, she then took him to her house where she essayed him. This boy's mother noticed a bite mark on his neck the next day, and eventually word got out and Rebecca was arrested. But this is where things get so much worse and tells me that this woman is seriously dangerous. So she was let out on bail, and right away she began talking to another 15-year-old boy, essayed him, and got pregnant. And the craziest part is that she only got 6 years in prison, and it's been said that she most likely will only serve like 3.5. The baby was born last year and was taken away from her. And for anyone that wants to sit here and say that this is not considered essay and that this boy wanted it, you're the problem. Imagine if it was the other way around. Everyone takes it so much more serious.
These are some useful life hacks that you can use in your everyday life. I know, something positive from me. As we all know, different colors reflect heat and sunlight in different ways. But there's actually specific colors that are better for specific days if you want to absorb heat or prevent it. This is an actual diagram showing how different colored shirts actually bring in heat. The red areas are obviously hotter, and the cooler, lighter colors are actually preventing the heat from coming in. So you can actually plan what you're wearing according to the heat that day. We've all been in situations before where we've had to handle very hot peppers such as jalapenos and etc. And one of the worst pains you could possibly get is forgetting that you handled these hot seeds of this jalapeno or this hot pepper and touching your eyes or anything else like that. This is because of the severe burning sensation, but I have a solution to that. Apparently, if you rub vegetable oil all over your hands once you're done handling a hot pepper and then wash it off afterwards, all of the spice will get off of your hands. That was a little bit of a lighter one, but I had no idea about this, so I had to share it with you guys. And finally, there's actually companies that will pay you for watching Netflix. I actually have a link to it in my bio if you want to check it out and see if you're eligible for it. I was, and I started to make some money off of it, so I'm also spreading that to you guys as well. It's an easy, quick way to make money from doing absolutely nothing, so you might as well try it and see if it works out. And look, see, I don't always talk about negative stuff on here because look,
sometimes I think about the fact that Africa messed around and created a breed of super lions that are bigger than any other lions in the world. So the story goes, about 30 years ago, the Okavango River changed course, and that change created a small island in the Duba Plains of Botswana. Except that also trapped the lions and buffalo that were on it. So with nothing else to hunt, what were the lion finna do? Fold? Bro, do you know lions? Nah, they just rewrote the playbook and learned to specialize in hunting an obituary with horns. They call them Black Death for a reason. You see, instead of normal lions, these lions went hunting in broad daylight. Plus, wading through the flooded plains was apparently enough of a workout that these lions became absolute units. Jacked, no Daniels, but damn, it's widely believed that these are arguably the strongest lions on the planet. Cause what's ground beef to a gym bro, a whole buffalo is to a big cat. How big? Well, apparently the average female swamp lion is the same size as the average normal male. They also flex their psychology too, as these lions would study and memorize the routine of the herd they were stalking and anticipate when and where they'd stop for water and strategically camp themselves for the ambush. Mind you, they're hunting an assault charge on 4 legs and turning them into protein. Now historically, there have been a couple lion prides that ruled this area. The Pantry Pride was like the YNs of lions. They didn't have strategy as much as they just full sent it at the biggest buffalo they could find. Yeah, they're not around anymore. The Skinner Pride was also famous for murking buffalo in the water. There was even one time they jumped a crocodile for snapping at a cub. And won. But the Sorrow Pride was the strongest and considered the best hunters, and they were led by the Duba Boys. Let me know if you want more lion lore, but the more you know.
Guys, the world is so weird right now. A man chose to go to prison for a year instead of pay back the $1 million that was accidentally sent to his bank account. I don't blame him if he has the choice. That's life-changing, like, for someone, especially if you don't have a lot of money. An anonymous, very large company recently found out that all of the data that AI has been providing it has been false for 3 months. The one person behind collecting all of this data gave it to his executives to reshape sales regions and make completely new choices for 2026. And then one of them manually checked the data and found out that AI's just been lying to them. Guinness World Records just posted there's a new record for the most kisses in 30 seconds, which is 146. I could beat that. My wife, my kids, and my dogs, The famous Lovers Arch in Italy collapsed, and get this, it was on Valentine's Day. This year's Super Bowl was the 3rd time in history that both coaches had the same name, and all 3 times their names have been.
Here are all the horror movies that released this week and where you can watch them. First up, The Demon. You can stream this one on Screambox. This is about Tom, who flees to his father's lakeside cottage after his unaliving attempt, where childhood memories and an ancient evil beneath the lake push him towards madness. And his wife Kathy, her brother Mark, and his wife Jess try to save him. The Deep Dark. You can rent this one on video on demand like Prime Video. This one is about miners who are forced to take a professor underground with them to take samples for his measurements, but after a landslide prevents them from going back up, they discover a crypt from another time, unknowingly waking up a bloodthirsty creature. Pretty Lethal. You can stream this one on Prime Video. This one is about a group of ballerinas who try to escape from a remote inn after their bus breaks down on the way to a dance competition. Primal Darkness. You can rent this one on video on demand. This is about Cole Harrington, the host of a popular outdoor series, who sets out to track down a predator responsible for a series of cattle attacks in rural Nevada, and the mystery deepens when he uncovers footage depicting the final moments of 2 missing university employees. Baron. You can rent this one on video on demand. This is about this pregnant woman, Emily, who crashes outside a mill, and a desperate woman, Julia, believes that this baby is a gift from God and will do whatever it takes to make it hers, no matter the cost. Forbidden Fruits. You can watch this one in theaters. This is about Free Eden employee Apple, who secretly runs a witchy femme cult in the basement of the mall store after hours with her fellow fruits, Cherry and Fig. But when new hire Pumpkin challenges their performative sisterhood, the women are forced to face their own poisons or succumb to a bloody fate. And lastly, They Will Kill You. You can watch this one in theaters. A woman takes a job as a housekeeper in a New York City high-rise, unaware of the building's history of disappearances, and she soon realizes the community is shrouded in mystery.
Most secret places you are not allowed to visit. The Elephant's Foot, Chernobyl. A deadly mass of radioactive lava beneath Reactor 4. Just standing near it 4 minutes could mean certain death. Even now, decades after the Chernobyl disaster, it still emits dangerous levels of gamma radiations. It's expected to remain hazardous for thousands of years. Svalbard Global Seed Vault, Norway. This high-security vault was built to preserve humanity's food supply in case of global catastrophe. It's sealed tight, only opened during true crisis.
This is one of the spookiest files that I've seen in the Epstein files, and I have literally no explanation for what this could be. So there's the EFTA number down there if you want to look this up. As you can see at the top of this image, this file was marked confidential, meaning that they felt this file specifically obviously needed to be kept more secret than others, or it had some sort of relevance to legal cases against Epstein. But what are we looking at here? To me, I don't know about you, but this looks like some sort of liquid up top. Obviously, it looks to maybe be dried, but it looks almost like an oil, but it looks like a thicker substance. I don't know, there might be more eagle-eyed people out there than me who could tell me what this is, but it's confusing and it's just eerie looking. And then, what's up with the light? Is this light coming through a cracked door? Is this a flashlight? Why is this room, or whatever this is, lit like this? And why is the picture deemed confidential? I can barely even tell what this is a photo of. Like, are we looking at the ground? Are we looking at a wall? What's going on? And then, what's this thing? Is this storage of some sort? Is this like an old computer modem? Is this tech? I literally have no clue, and I might have bad eyes, but I literally just cannot tell what this is. So I'm doing a full-length video on these photos soon, the confidential photos, so if anybody knows what this is a photo of, or why this is confidential, or what this is depicting, if you could let me know in the comment section, that would be incredible, because for now, this is just a spooky image in my mind, and it's almost haunting me because I have no idea what this is showing, and why they would need to keep this more secret than other images.
If I told you that me and you are dead, we actually died about 10 years ago. This list shows all the craziest conspiracies from the most normal to the darkest of the dark. And of course we're going from the top to the bottom. Now there is a massive theory about did the world actually end in 2012? Well, here's evidence you haven't seen before. This right here is the particle known as Higgs boson, which Stephen Hawking famously said once discovered could destroy the universe instantly. Now 2012 was actually the year that scientists did discover the particle Higgs boson, and well, here's where things get strange. A lot of people report the world being different since 2012, and then again since 2020. But we've obviously had lots of Mandela effects that started becoming really popular after 2012. Things like Curious George not having a tail, obviously Nelson Mandela, Shaggy never having an Adam's apple, and E.T. not saying E.T. phone home. I know, mental. Now we're gonna go deeper. We have confirmation now that when we die, our brain is still active for around 8 minutes after death, and that the brain activity is like that of you dreaming or hallucinating. And if you've ever had a lucid dream, you know it feels very real. You can't distinguish reality between the dreams. So what if the world did actually end in 2012? We are all dead, and this reality we're just living in is a dream, a figment of our imagination that we are living in, but we're actually dead. Yeah, I'm done.
We need to talk about one of the most disturbing horror games I've ever played. And part of what makes it so disturbing is that it's a medically accurate horror game. This is The Pumpkin Eater, and its subject matter is extremely dark. The entire premise of the game revolves around a family whose son was run over by their car in the driveway on accident, and the tragic event causes the mother to basically go into shock. Instead of mourning the death of her son, she refuses to accept his death and puts a jack-o'-lantern on his neck where his head used to be. She then pleads with the rest of her family to go along with her delusion, and they try to continue life as if nothing had happened. This corpse that used to be their son, she reads to him, feeds him, and even calls the school, making excuses for why he hasn't shown up. And as the days go on, this corpse is decaying. What makes this game so disturbing is the graphic descriptions of the body decomposing. To make the game as accurate as possible, the developers put in a tremendous amount of time researching how a body realistically breaks down after death. The more the body decomposes as the days pass, the more the family starts to mentally break in profound ways. I have a full playthrough of the entire game on my channel if you're interested, but please be careful with this one. Not only is it truly disgusting, but it has some shocking examples of abuse and neglect as well.
You won't believe the horrifying plot twist at the end of this story. So during the 1970s, a young couple living in Utah went on their first date. And the two of them were having a good time on this first date, but they could both tell that this wasn't really going anywhere between the two of them. It was pretty awkward between the two of them over the course of their dinner, but they decided to be friendly and just stick it out. It was getting to be pretty late at night, but right before the young couple left the restaurant to go their separate ways, the young man asked the young woman if she wanted to go on a late night hike with him in the Utah mountains. The young woman was kind of taken aback by him asking her to do this, considering the date didn't go too well. But he explained to her that he had gone hiking in those same mountains many times before and that there was nothing to be worried about. And so the young woman decided to agree to go on this hike with her date because she thought, what the heck, maybe this will spice things up. However, when the young couple began their hike in the woods, the two of them felt very off about things. As the two of them went deeper into the forest, things began to feel very eerie around them. Both of their heartbeats began to rapidly speed up, and the two of them kind of both thought to themselves that maybe they should turn back around. But since it was their first date, neither of them wanted to be the one to speak up and say, hey, I think we should go back, so they kept on walking forward. At this point, it was basically completely black in the forest. And then suddenly, the two of them heard some movement coming from some nearby bushes. And it was right at this point when the man stepped on something soft and squishy that was very different from the rest of the trail. And it was right at this point where the two of them just felt like they should get out of there, so they both left. Ironically, this scary experience in the woods led the young couple to become closer, and eventually, a few years later, they got married. 10 years later, the married couple was making breakfast one morning while watching the news. And on the news this particular morning, they were interviewing a serial killer a couple days before he was sentenced to be put to death. And one of the questions that they asked him was if there was ever a time where he was almost caught years before he was actually caught by police. And surprisingly, the murderer said, well, yeah, there actually was this time where I was nearly caught in the woods. He went on to say that about 10 years ago, he was in the mountains of Utah trying to dispose one of his victims in the woods, when all of a sudden a young couple literally walked right into the crime scene. The killer said that the young man in the couple actually stepped on the body of his victim that he was trying to drag away into the woods. However, since it was so dark in the woods, the young couple couldn't really see their surroundings, so they just kind of turned around and left being spooked. The serial killer that the young couple unknowingly caught in the act was Ted Bundy.
This is why you should be scared of mirrors. Reddit user Liberated Man said that when he was about 12 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He walked across the hall to the bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when he glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't his face. He said that it was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at him. He only saw it for the briefest moment, but it seared into his brain. He screamed and ran out to find his dad. His dad, of course, investigated and then calmed him down, or tried to. They had a prayer session because he was so freaked out. Eventually, he went back to sleep. He said that fast forward to his 30s, he had forgotten all about the event, until one night, while visiting, his dad quietly brings it up. He said, "Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to him in a rush of a memory, sending a chill down his spine. He said, "Yeah, I remember." And then his dad said, "Well, sometimes I think about that night." He looked down at the floor with a serious expression, and then he said, "I saw it too." He went on to describe exactly what Reddit user Liberated Man had seen. Neither of them have any idea what it was. Apparently, when his dad went to investigate, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. And the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was his son's.
Santa Claus is really going through it, and I need to know why. Santa was caught by paparazzi looking absolutely exhausted, and I mean, can you blame him? He literally delivers 100 million gifts in one single day. I can barely deliver one gift to one person. Of course, Santa makes the holidays so enjoyable, but he looks like he needs a vacation himself, maybe tanning on a tropical island. Now that you've delivered my gifts, I am begging you, Santa, please take a break. You've clearly had enough.
The dumbest laws in each state. In Kentucky, every citizen is required to take a shower at least once a year. In Louisiana, it's illegal to send someone a surprise pizza. In Maine, it's illegal to keep Christmas decorations up after January 14. In Maryland, fortune-telling is illegal. In Massachusetts, it's illegal to scare a pigeon. In Michigan, it's illegal to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant. In Minnesota, it's illegal to have a contest where people try to catch a greased pig. In Mississippi, it's illegal to swear in public if 2 or more people are present. In Missouri, it's illegal to drive with an uncaged bear in your car. In Montana, it's illegal to give a rat as a gift. In Nebraska, it's illegal to get married if you have an STD. In Nevada, it's illegal to ride a camel on the highway. In New Hampshire, you can't tap your feet or nod your head to music in restaurants.
What if I told you that liminal spaces like this really do exist in our world? Like, this is the Westfield Bondi Junction in Australia, and it has reportedly 8 miles of terrifying hallway that weave in between the stores. And the stories of things that have happened in those hallways absolutely haunt me. I did a whole episode on the Heart Starts Pounding podcast on real people that got stuck in liminal spaces, but the scariest story I covered was that of Bernard Gore. Now, back in 2017, Bernard Gore was inside of that mall when he slipped out of this fire exit that he thought would lead him out of the mall. But it didn't. It led him into the stairwells behind the mall, and when he closed the door, he realized that there was no handle to push himself back out. And what was ahead of him was 8 miles of hallway that looked just like this, full of doors that had no handles and no cell reception. Now, employees were supposed to check that hallway once a week, but they had just checked it, meaning no one was going to be back there for another week. And unfortunately, while Bernard was waiting, he passed away. And that's just one of the stories. When I was researching for this episode, I realized how many hospitals out there also have scary backrooms hallways like that, and how many people die at hospitals by being trapped in those hallways. Anyways, it's a really interesting episode. It was one of the scariest ones that I did, and I definitely think you should check it out. It's on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you have a rare brain? Let's find out. Now, I am going to turn off the sound for this video. Remember my voice. Now, if you read this with a voice in your head, it means that you have something called inner monologue. 27% of people in the world can only think with images, meaning they are unable to hear any voice in their head when they think. So saying you were to think of the word microphone. If you heard your voice saying microphone in your brain, then you are clear. But there is a good percentage of people who do not hear anything at all. There are no voices in their heads. Nothing. And then there's the opposite of this called aphantasia, which is when you cannot picture any image in your head. To test this, close your eyes right now and picture a white lion. If you are unable to picture a white lion, then you are part of the 2 to 5% of the world's population that have aphantasia. Then there is the extreme opposite called hyperphantasia. And this is when you can picture an image in your head that is so unbelievably clear, it is like what you are imagining is right there with you. Only 10 to 15% of the world's population have this ability. If you found this video confusing, just watch it again.
So this might have actually happened. Debunkers owe everyone an apology, because a resurfaced Egyptian scroll from the British Museum had it right in front of our faces ever since it was put up in 1839. Yet another ancient document supporting the claim that biblical giants did in fact exist. This 3,300-year-old papyrus called Anastasi I has recently reignited interest from research groups who picked up on a certain detail that has gone largely unnoticed until now. So the scroll, believed to be the letter of a scribe, talks about encounters with a certain tribe called the Shosu people, who the Israelites were terrified of. Now, the part of the scroll in question translates to, "The narrow defile is infested with Shosu, concealed beneath the bushes. Some of them are of 4 cubits or of 5 cubits from head to foot. Fierce of face, their heart is not mild, and they hearken not to coaxing." Now, a cubit was the standard unit of measure of the Egyptians, and 4 to 5 cubits, the supposed height of the Shosu people as mentioned in the scroll, measures up to 8.5 feet. 8'6". Historians all too predictably remain skeptical, as they claim there is no physical proof or archaeological evidence that giants existed during this time. Okay, buddy, keep telling yourself that. You wouldn't want to rewrite your little textbook now, would you? Now, in all fairness, 8'6" is freakishly tall, but still in the realm of possibility of heights that humans are capable of reaching, with the tallest man in recorded history, Robert Wadlow, coming in at a staggering 8'11". But regular humans just aren't built to be this tall, and at heights like these typically live lives riddled with health complications and have difficulty performing basic human functions. With Wadlow living his entire life wearing leg braces, suffered from hypertrophy, and passed away at the very young age of 22 in 1940, as is the case with pretty much every recorded human who grows to be this tall. Far from the fierce, angry, and violent warriors this Egyptian scroll and pretty much every single civilization of our past speaks of these giants. Sounds to me like these menacing 8 to 9+ foot behemoths were a lot different and far more common than the extremely rare outlier human who grows to these same heights. So why exactly do we keep denying they ever existed when literally every ancient record tells us they did?
Scientists kept people awake for 15 days in something known as the Russian sleep experiment, but after day 9, it became so disturbing they tried to shut the experiment down. In the 1940s, researchers put 5 people inside of a chamber and they would pump a special kind of gas that would prevent them from falling asleep, and if they were able to last the full 15 days, they would be released. At first, everything seemed normal. They talked, laughed, and acted like nothing was wrong. But after a few days, their behavior started to change. They stopped interacting with each other and started whispering into these microphones like they didn't want the others to hear what they were saying. And suddenly, complete silence. Days went by with no sound at all. By day 9, the silence broke and they started to scream uncontrollably for hours until their voice gave out. And then silence again because they didn't want the gas turned off. When researchers finally looked inside the chamber, they couldn't believe what they saw. The subjects were still alive, but they didn't look like humans anymore. Their bodies were severely deteriorated, their eyes were hollow, and some of them had ruined their own skin to the point where they looked unrecognizable. The room was destroyed, food hadn't been touched in days, and they didn't want to leave the chamber. When scientists tried to remove them, one of the subjects told them,
So I came across 2 paranormal photos and I'm going to compare them side by side right behind me. I kind of want to see how many people can spot the difference because these photos were taken seconds apart and I'll prove it to you. For context on the one that you're actually looking at, this was taken inside of a child care center and the person who did post this, they had permission to share this photo and from all of the parents who were involved in this picture because nobody can explain it. Now compared to this picture, this is the second photo. Does something look different, particularly in the center of this picture? I'm gonna zoom in for you. As a quick aside, consider following and sticking around because I post videos almost every single day. Okay, so we're back in. So focus on these 2 girls right here. Again, this is picture 1. I'm gonna swap over to photo 2. The woman who took this photo and everyone in that care center that she showed it to could not come up with an explanation for this. I'm telling you, you can go back, you can compare these photos yourself side by side. There are very minimal movements, which effectively shows that this was taken only a few seconds later. But who is that? Every other child and person who was in the room was accounted for, so there is no explanation for who seems to be standing behind this girl.